So through this example we will try to understand the doctrine of Lis Pendens. The doctrine of Lis Pendens. So I prepared one note. Tomorrow I will share. So in this example let us try to understand the doctrine of Lis Pendens with one example, with one easy example. So here you can see A and B. A is the transferor. There is one who is transferring the property and B is the transferee. Okay, and the subject matter here is X property. So A is the owner here. There is a transferor. A is the owner. And suppose the price of the property of X property is rupees 1 crore. So suppose A, after taking the half amount of the consideration, that is 50 lakhs. So price is 1 crore. Half amount of the consideration will be 50 lakhs. So here A, after taking the half amount of the consideration, that is 50 lakhs, intentionally started to avoid to sign on the registration date despite B's request. So B was requesting A again and again that you need to sign on the registration date, but intentionally A was avoiding B from signing on the registration date. So B took the matter where? B took the matter to the competent court as plaintiff. So B has become plaintiff here. So here X property, there is a subject matter, the X property is under litigation. As the litigation is pending now, pending before the court, before the competent court for getting the final decision. Okay, so we need to understand one important expression here. It is pendenti lite. It means during the time of litigation or during litigation, pendenti lite. Okay, so from the example, from the above mentioned example, it is clear that the property, that is the X property here, the subject matter, is under dispute, or we can say it is under litigation. In other words, what we can say, that is the case is now pending. This case is now pending because B took the matter to the competent court here. B is the plaintiff. So the matter is pending. Now in the second part of the example, suppose, so this is the second part of the example. That was the first part of it. Now the second part of it. Now in the second part of the example, suppose during pendency of the litigation, that is pendenti lite, A decided to sell the property to Mr. Y. So Mr. Y here is a new party, and A decided to sell the property to whom? To Mr. Y. Keeping these two examples in mind, let us try to approach with the legal language. Okay, the legal language from the material which I have given, which has been given. So what is the legal language here? When there is litigation between two persons, so here between A and B, two persons, A and B, transferor and the transferee. Okay, B is the plaintiff here. So here between A and B, number 2, in regard to some immovable property. Yes, X property is an immovable property, isn't it? And 3, and one of them transfer the subject matter. One of them, subject matter of the litigation, and one of them transfer the subject matter of the litigation. What is the subject matter of the litigation? That is X property. Here who is transferring? Here A transferred it to Mr. Y, isn't it? Here A transferred it to Mr. Y. Okay, so one of them, here in this example A, okay, transferring it to Mr. Y. And then a conflict may arise between the rights of the transferee. That is, a conflict may arise between the right of the transferee and the rights of the parties as declared by the decree of the court. Okay, So try to understand. I'm repeating this thing again. A conflict may arise between the right of the transferee. There is a right of Mr. Y, the transferee, and the rights of the parties, that is A and B, as declared by the decree of the court. So you can see here, I made this thing clear. Parties A and B, and the transferee Mr. Y, isn't it? Suppose the decision decree in this example, okay, hypothetical example. Suppose the decision or the decree has been given in favor of B. Then what will happen? Then Mr. Y, the transferee, he will face legal issues, as while purchasing the property from A, he did not try to find out the actual fact that the property, that is the X property, was under litigation. It was his responsibility, isn't it? It was a responsibility of Mr. Y. Okay, it was a responsibility of Mr. Y. So to avoid such circumstances, the doctrine of Lis Pendens has been introduced, and Lis Pendens means pending litigation. Okay, the meaning of it is pending litigation, Lis Pendens. So there is one maxim. It is based on the maxim pendenti lite nihil innovatur. Pendenti lite nihil innovatur, which means during pendency of any suit regarding title of a property to decide who is the real owner, any new interest in respect of that property should not be created. So in this example, what happened? The example which I have mentioned just now, in the cited example, what happened? That whether new interest was created. This is the question. That is, in this example, both the first part and the second part, especially in the second part, whether a new interest has been made, new interest, whether it was created, the answer is yes. As A made a contract of sale with whom? With Mr. Y during pendency of the suit. So a new interest has been created here between A and Mr. Y during the pendency of the suit. Remember, the suit is still pending in the court, isn't it? So the doctrine of Lis Pendens, we can say, this is very important. Okay, so double star here, double star, 2 stars. The doctrine of Lis Pendens does not annul or nullify, okay, the conveyance. What do you mean by conveyance? Conveyance means to transfer, okay, to make transfer. But so I'm repeating this thing again. The doctrine of Lis Pendens does not annul or nullify or stop the conveyance, there is a transfer, but only renders it subservient to the rights of the parties to the litigation. What do you mean by this? I'm explaining it here. So from the perspective of the above example, we can understand that during the pendency of the litigation, the transfer which has been made between A and Mr. Y could not be fully nullified or could not be stopped fully. Rather, the rights of Mr. Y, this is very important, rather the rights of Mr. Y will be subservient, that is, will be subordinate to the rights of A and B, to the parties in the suit, okay, that is A and B. I am repeating this thing again. The rights of Mr. Y will be subservient or subordinate to the rights of A and B. How to make this thing clear? That is, suppose if the decision is given, the final decision, let's say, if it is given in favor of Mr. B, then Mr. Y cannot keep the property with him. Okay, at that time Mr. Y cannot keep the property with him. Mr. Y, as per the decision of the court, must transfer the property to B because the decision has been given in favor of B. Okay, so Mr. Y cannot keep the property with him. And there is one explanation of section 52. As we know, the section 52 of the Transfer of Property Act. It is dealing with the concept of lis pendens. Okay, so when the, this is the question, okay, this is a vital question here. When the pendency of the suit or pendency proceeding, when it will start, when it will actually start, okay. So it will start from the date of presentation of the plaint by the plaintiff. So the plaint will be presented by the plaintiff, okay, from the date of presentation of the plaint by the plaintiff. So from the perspective of the above mentioned example, the pendency of the litigation period started with the date of submission of the plaint by plaintiff B. So here who started the suit? It was B. B is the plaintiff here because he is the agreed party here. Okay. So he started the suit. Okay. And the new interest was created by whom? It was created by A. Okay. Created by A, and when he transferred the property to Mr. Y during the pendency of the case, of the litigation. Okay. So here what is happening? When the pendency of the suit or pendency proceeding shall start from the date of presentation of the plaint by the plaintiff. So here the pendency of the litigation period started with the date of submission of the plaint by plaintiff B, or there is one or with the institution of the proceeding in a court of competent jurisdiction. So that court must have competent jurisdiction, okay, competent to try that particular civil case, and will continue up to the date of making final decision, that is the final decree. Okay,